Welcome to Wanderings and Wool Gathering, episode 131. Woo, 131 episodes. Tonight, we are going to be revisiting our youth and reminiscing about songs primarily from the 80s, and I think a few bleed into the 90s. We're also going to take a peek at the last two released Smashing Pumpkin songs from their soon-to-be rock opera called Autumn. And finally, we're going to dig into issue number 21 from Sandman as Metalhead Mundy and I continue our trek down the entire Sandman series. Tonight's episode is brought to you by 4411 Creative Agency. The good folks at 4411 provide custom marketing and flawless execution. Creative is their middle name. Head over to 4411creative.com to find out more. Joining me tonight, of course, is none other than Metalhead Mundy.
Step inside into his mind. It's boy band time. It's
Metalhead Mundy.
There he is.
Hello, hello.
The handsome dog that he is, Metalhead Mundy. Well, he's a dog anyway, right?
Sometimes.
And you know who's joining us tonight, Mr. Mundy?
I've heard a couple rumors, but I'm not sure. We'll have to substantiate one of them, maybe.
The fans demanded it. They said, we need more T-Bags. And I said, hey, I can only do so much. But tonight, he has returned. It is T-Bags.
Swinging deep into the valleys of Liptonia.
That's nasty.
Able to plunge from high altitudes only to land with a gentle splat.
That's nasty.
Receiving only the finest education from his instructor, Earl Grey. It's T-Bags, too hot for TV.
I forgot to change the spelling.
That's all good. It's good to be back on. I'm going to be muting often because I'm in a different house right now with a barking dog. So, but good to see you both.
How's Earl, by the way?
Oh, he's good.
You've been training with him, so seeing how he was, the old boy.
Yeah, that opening T-bag shot looked a little fuzzy at the bottom.
Shit, my drums are over there. God, I gotta get a rim shot. I gotta move them closer. Maybe I'll just start sitting behind them. Pretty bad jokes. Dang it. Well, it is great to have you back, Tony.
Nice to be back.
Yes. Anybody got anything exciting to talk about before we dig into all of our goodness tonight?
I had one thing. It's not really exciting, kind of sad. But,
Oh, it is sad. Go for it.
just wanted to take a second. We're all big nerds, so I just want to take a second to acknowledge the passing of Kevin Conroy, who is probably most famous to everyone as the voice of Batman from Batman the Animated Series starting in 1992. And I mean, he's been consistently voicing that character through, something like 14 different shows, multiple video games, movies. I think he even played a live action Bruce Wayne in one episode of a show. So he has pretty much been Batman since 1992. So
Yeah.
he was, by all accounts, he was a really great guy. I've never heard anyone speak ill of him. So just, big loss for the geek community, and appreciate his talent, and just wanted to mention his passing.
Yeah. His voice was amazing. Oh, man. And then there were some nice tributes from Mark Hamill, who worked with him, obviously, as the Joker.
Yeah.
Sounds like they were very close as well. And Mark Hamill, as we know, is a great guy as well. So,
yeah, I definitely hear his voice every time I read a comic with Batman.
It's sad, too, though. That's really like the third, because we lost Carlos Pacheco this week and Kevin O'Neill last week, or at the beginning of the week. So 3 comic greats down this week.
Yeah.
So everybody else should be safe because it comes in 3. So everybody else breathe a sigh of relief. We should all be good now.
Let's hope.
Yeah. Well, all right. We got business to do. We are a music program after all. And so we are hitting the next entry into Autumn from Smashing Pumpkins. And this time we have, because we had a special guest last week, we did not do the entry from last week. So we have the two. We have Where Rain Must Fall and Beyond the Veil. Veil spelled Vale, apparently after a person that he knows and has had a relationship for a long time. So T-Bags, I know you haven't been on this one much, but have you followed along with much of the story for this so far?
Unfortunately, I haven't yet. I just hoping to kind of like do almost like a binge type effort here and catch back up. But
yeah, you had about 7 songs and a lot of story. The story is a bit wonky. Mundy and I are not terribly in love with it, but it's the progression of a character that started on Melancholy 0. Then the character became Glass, who has now become Shiny. And he is off in space on a spaceship floating off towards the sun. He has put in the code and he is basically committing suicide. And somebody who loves him from Earth, June, the character we've known from many albums before, is off in space trying to get to him. But she's also communicating with some people who operate on the dark web. Their dark web. What was that called, Mundy?
Crystal web.
The crystal web. And so this guy has been erased. You can't find a trace of him anywhere. They've erased him from computers, whatever. He has no existence anymore. But she found some people who were touched by him and like him on Earth. I know. And so June has sent down some messages and a code for them to then go use these coordinates to go find something. So the first song this week is Where Rain Must Fall. This one is sung by June in space. And this, according to Billy, is the Hollywood musical moment so far on the record, about her fantasizing about her life with Shiny. And she's going to take the Starway and float to Shiny. He made up Starway. How clever. So, Mundy, what did you think of the song?
Well, you said it's sung by, what was the character? Was it June?
June, yes. On her way to Shiny. Fantasizing about Shiny.
Yeah, well, I wish it was sung by June. It would have made it better. Not that Billy's voice is bad. That's not my criticism. My criticism is that with this song, I really didn't get like a Smashing Pumpkins feel from this song at all. I like the music, I really do, but not so much as a Pumpkin song. And I like the female backing vocals.
There's June.
if that character could have taken over, and been in the forefront, I think it would have served the song a lot better. But instead we got what we got. So
yeah, I think we are completely on point. I think when his voice leads the song, it becomes a bit problematic. That was one of the problems I had on Ojilala, and a little bit of, there were some songs on Sir and Shiny, No So Bright. When the music's stripped away and he's supposed to carry it with his voice, it doesn't work as well. Yeah. When his voice is writing, layered guitars and recently a lot more keyboard and some heavy stuff and Jimmy's drums, I think it works much better. Leading with voice, I don't think is his strong suit, honestly. And it is a weird idea that the musical is June singing to someone, but it's Billy singing, June singing to someone. So I wish, like you said, that June were singing this song. So what do you think, Tony? You ready to dig into that one?
Well, yeah. But so how do you know that it's supposed to be June singing? Is there like, I know this comes from like he explains things on the podcast. Is that how that works?
Yeah. He gives a like the first 15 minutes of the podcast as he explains where the story's going, where it is, and what the song means, and then they play the song, and then they have a break or whatever, and the guest comes on, and then they talk about an older song. So
yeah. Not having heard it though, I do think that's odd that he would choose to sing. If he has access to somebody else singing.
He's not giving it up. Let's be honest. But it's a good podcast. It's pretty, you get a lot of information. So I dig it for that part. And then the next song, Beyond the Veil, I thought in my mind was a better song. And this one is where June has sent geo coordinates to some kind of a treasure chest here on Earth. And Osira and Nighthawk are two people from the Crystal Web are going to find it, and it's leading them to a warehouse. But they are met there by the authorities called the X9. And they get into the building, they find the treasure chest, and they barely escape with their lives. And this song is sung by the X9. So this one is it's like the opposing people's view. You wouldn't know from listening, but it is supposed to be from their perspective. They're visor-wearing goons. That's all we know so far. Kind of a futuristic bent, I think. So what do you think of this one, Mundy?
Well, we have guitars, so that's a step in the right direction.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I like that. Again, the music was fine. It's kind of, I don't know, almost like a little bit of a snappy groove. Had some fun disco sound effects going on almost with the keyboards, pew, 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 and whatever. So
how's that go again?
Yeah, I don't think I need to repeat it. You heard me. It's the classic pew pew.
Yes.
So yeah, I don't know. I mean, it was okay. Wasn't great, but the guitars were a step in the right direction.
Yeah, my notes were almost identical. Starts off with guitar. That's what my first thing was. It was more up tempo. The last two songs were sung by June, and I feel like the album stepped back because there were a couple of really good songs on the beginning part of the album, and then the June songs for me really fell flat. And this one picks it back up, more up tempo. It's got a nice kind of an 80s feel to it, which I thought was cool. So Beyond the Veil, I'm going to give that one like a 3.5 out of 5, probably 3.5. So I have no idea where this is going, honestly.
The story is so convoluted. Like I would like to see something with it outlined and like planned out. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like, does Bill even know where it's going? Like, it's so insane.
Well, it's done. All 33 songs are finished. And Tony, one thing he said we talked about last week is he said he's giving us the basics, like just the overview of this, but there are going to be hundreds of clues through the 3 that represent these concept records that if you're a really strong Pumpkins fan, you will get the clues. Which cool. all that means is I'm going to feel stupid when I don't get them.
No, but this is where I love living in the day and age of the internet, because this is going to spawn a bunch of forums and talks and blog posts and videos and things. So
yeah,
it'll be interesting to see where it goes.
Yeah, and it would be cool too if, like, when it comes out that there are coordinates, like when she leaves the coordinates, but there are actual coordinates where geocachers could go and find something, so they could really connect this to actual events. For the fans, I think that would be really awesome.
That would be very cool.
I'm sure Billy's listening. He's a big fan of the show. He's always calling me.
Maybe we can influence the outcome to choose your own adventure.
Hey, maybe.
Now that would be cool. I would really get behind that. And then not only do we get to choose where the adventure goes, we get to choose which instruments are played on each song. Guitar, real drums.
Yeah, dude, I still like listen to this stuff. Like, yeah, I feel so bad for Jimmy. Like, I don't know what he's doing. I hope he's at least letting him maybe do some of the programming.
Yeah. Now, he's and Billy are like best friends. I mean, when they collaborate, it's an all-in venture. So I don't think there's any hurt feelings or anything on that. I think he's in it to win it. So, well, cool. I haven't looked to see what the next one is, but I think that was our 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 9. That's our 9th song.
Well, it's our 9th podcast to be 10 songs because he released the Beguiled, right?
And yep, that's right. And that one's down the road. I think that's way later. So
we've heard 10 songs now. How is he doing this in? Is it being released all as one 33 song thing, or is
yes?
He doing? Okay.
So this lead up, there'll be one released every week. So 33 weeks later, which ends up in April, the whole thing lands.
Gotcha.
And you'll get them all as one thing. And like right now, they're not even going, like after he releases them, they still don't show up on Spotify or Apple. So you have to go to the podcast if you want to hear the songs, which is super brilliant to drive people to your podcast. So next week, guys, we are releasing a song on this show that we're writing, and so people are going to flood over here to see that.
I'm sure that'll work.
Yeah. Gonna have to get Paul back for that.
Dang it, Paul. All right. Well, anyway, that was fun. So we'll be back to do that again next week. But this week we have bigger things to talk about. We have Life Moves Pretty Fast, the John Hughes mixtape, which I was so close to buying the vinyls for. This is $175, so that's why I did not. But it's cool. I mean, even just to look at the packaging, it's really neat.
Yeah, I love that.
It's pretty great. I doing a retrospective. I don't know if there's any kind of anniversary or anything that's kind of inspired this or why it's happening right now, but I'm here for it.
Would we be at 40? No, because most of them came out in 83. I don't know. Maybe the first one he did. No, he did stuff in the 70s, I think, though. It's just he found his place later. So, yeah, I don't know why this would come out just now. Maybe somebody can tell us why.
Because Christmas is next month.
Yeah. It's all about money.
Sadly, you're probably not wrong.
And the thing is, we've heard every song. You can get these songs anywhere. It's just a repackaging and putting them together, which you could do if you just made your own playlist. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So somebody, I think on Spotify, this is not on Spotify. So I found a playlist on there that has the same name, and it is, I think they did this track for track, but there are some songs that aren't available on Spotify. So just a few, but
I saw that too.
Interesting.
Can't even listen to it on there at all.
That just means that they probably weren't allowed to be posted outside of the person's own album. I would assume. So the movies we're talking about, now this isn't a full list. I mean, this is just a basic list: Vacation, European Vacation, Christmas Vacation, 16 Candles, Breakfast Club, Weird Science, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Pretty in Pink, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, Home Alone, all of those. Beethoven, Some Kind of Wonderful. There were others as well. Do you guys remember any that you thought of beside these?
On there.
He did a bunch. I mean, he's got a lot more than this.
That's a pretty good overview. I mean, there's a few more, but Curly Sue is one I don't see there.
It is.
That's a great movie. But yeah, he's writer, producer, director. He's worked on so many things.
Yep. So, but anyway, that's a lot of movies to pick to do top fives, and then we're going to do top 5 songs, were there 62? There's 62 or 63 songs on this playlist. Was it?
I thought it was. Maybe not.
Well, I'm going to look right now.
I thought it was like 72 or 73. And I have a movie on my list.
I've got 66.
Okay.
So, you've got another movie that I don't have up here?
Huh?
Even better.
Yeah.
Let's find out what our friends of the show thought. So we had some. I posted it on Facebook, and had some friends put their top 5. So I told them we'd look at those on the show. There are a lot of repeats, which I am not surprised, because some of these movies are just beloved by everyone. So Dave Stone had, and these are 1 to 5. So in these orders, this I'm assuming is their favorite to their least, which is Ferris Bueller, Vacation, Christmas Vacation, Breakfast Club, and Uncle Buck. Those were his.
I love the honorable mention.
Yes, Mr. Mom.
That's
what I didn't put on here. Why didn't I put that on there?
He wrote that one, yeah.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. And then Jason Branch, he said Ferris Bueller, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, 16 Candles, and Home Alone. And his brother Chris said Breakfast Club, Ferris Bueller, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Uncle Buck, and Christmas Vacation.
Yep.
So, I mean, there's not a bad movie on that list. So,
I didn't have anybody give me a full list, but my wife said that her favorite is Great Outdoors, which he wrote.
Oh, did he write that one?
Yep.
That's a great movie.
Yep.
Yeah, that was good. I did not realize he did that one. I must have missed that when I was looking at him. So,
and looking at these lists before we get into our favorites, like, can you imagine that this is your career? I mean, you did all of this.
And more.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a tough challenge because he had so much good stuff.
I really like, I got 4 pretty much right away. And then that 5th spot, there's so many that I could slot in there. So
There really are. A friend of mine, a Facebook friend, said that he lives in Illinois, and so he got to meet him when they were filming something, and he said he smokes a lot. That was his comment. So, hey, just for now, I'm going to remove these from the screen because we're going to do our movies first before music, so I don't want to show their music choices yet. But we do have another friend of the show popping in with Ferris Bueller, Christmas Vacay, Home Alone, Breakfast Club, and The Great Outdoors. And there it is again, Mr. Muncie.
That's solid.
From the Kokomo Lantern. You know, speaking of the Kokomo Lantern, did you know they sponsor our show, Jeremy?
I've heard.
Really? What'd you hear about him?
That he likes us and he supports us.
No, they're a journalistic endeavor focused upon the simple principles of illuminating the good and eliminating the shadows in our local community. If you have not signed up for the Kokomo Lantern yet, you need to go over to kokomolantern.substack.com. He is an awesome guy, and he is helping just kind of put everything in Kokomo on display, doing an awesome job. So we are pleased that we get to work with him.
Yeah, we subscribe to them at work, and look forward to the weekly emails that we get from them. And they've covered some YMCA events and things like that. So it's a welcome addition to have that kind of news in the community.
Excellent. All right, boys. Are you ready?
Yeah, buddy.
Yep.
So do we just want to do ours 1 to 5 and then move on? Or do you want a round table?
That's probably easier than doing round robin for this.
Actually, let's do round robin, and that way, if we double up, we can just do them at the same time.
Okay.
Makes sense. That way, we don't hit the same one 3 times.
I have a feeling we're going to do overlap. So
I think so too. Okay, I'll start off, and we'll let you be the last one to go, Monday. And my number 5 is Christmas Vacation.
Okay.
All right.
Not on my list.
See, I love those movies. All those came out back then, and Fletch and all those before we all knew that Chevy Chase was such a butthole. And I'm so glad that I didn't know that back then because I absolutely loved those movies.
Yes, absolutely. I just recently watched the first National Lampoon's Vacation, and yeah, pretty great. I mean, he had something to do with all of them. I know he wrote the first one by himself. The others, maybe wrote or co-wrote, but yeah.
Yeah, he started at National Lampoon's magazine first back in the 70s. So that's how he got his into that. So, all right, T-Bags, what do you have for your number 5?
Weird Science.
Same.
That was my number 4.
That's my number 5. And so he wrote and directed that one.
And he was so smart, he knew that he should cast Iron Man in that movie. He was so smart. Brilliant move on his part.
Also, Kelly Lee Brock was not bad to look at when we were at that age.
Yeah, no kidding. And let's be honest. Well, okay, we're gonna talk about the music later, but Oingo Boingo, come on, you cannot go wrong.
Yep.
So, all right, so that was so there's 2 of mine taken, but that's okay. Then we'll have to talk about it again. But that was a great movie. It was total 80s, and it had Chet. So, can we talk enough about Chet? Bill Paxton. Those are his first roles.
He's like the perfect jerk older brother. So
he was awesome. I don't know. Yeah, we used to quote that movie a lot. So, all right. So Monday, that was your 5 as well.
Yep.
So you know my 4. That was my 4. Weird Science. So Tony, your 4.
16 Candles.
So good.
That was my number 1.
Oh,
So
nice.
dang, you guys just picking me off one after the other. Yeah, I love that. That was like I don't know how old you guys were when they came out, but when 16 Candles came out, I was in 7th grade, I think. So all of these came out between 7th grade and my sophomore, junior year. So I think I was the exact target audience for these movies.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And also, Weird Science ranked lower than that for me because I was also having like some criteria of if it still holds up. And Weird Science, just basically because of technology and things like that, it's still a good movie. But 16 Candles, like that will never change. So people want to be heard, and you know that hard time of finding love and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay.
Not on my list.
It's not on your list.
No, we only got 5 slots, so that was one of the ones vying for number 5, but Weird Science won out. So
All right. What's your 4, Monday?
my number 4 is Home Alone, just because I mean it's so good. It's utterly watchable. It's not. I mean, there's not really a dull moment in the movie. At this point, it's like an iconic Christmas movie. You know, the cast is fantastic. It's just so good. That's Mr. John Hughes wrote it. So
Yeah,
Yep.
that was my honorable mention.
yeah.
That was not my top 5 nor honorable mention.
But
Well, so you're 6 years older than me. So when that hit, I was in high school. So and
Makes
plus,
sense.
now with having kids and they love it. So
Yeah.
watch it every year.
I know our kids used to go over to Nani's and watch it every Christmas. That was their tradition.
Nice.
So, all right. So we're up to number 3, right?
Yep.
My number 3 is Breakfast Club.
Okay. That's my number 1.
That's
I
my
figured.
number 1.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. I would like to see somebody remake that. Not like
Nope.
absolutely exact, but like similar concept, but now updated. Because things would be so much different now with phones and technology and all that kind of stuff. But the concept of the movie would work anytime, any place, anywhere.
Yeah, man, I think if you really dug, you might find something like that. But obviously not called Breakfast Club or connected to it in any way.
Right.
Something similar. It's got to
Mhm.
be out there, I would think.
Could be.
Surely someone has had the idea. We're gonna make like a Breakfast Club type movie, but updated. And obviously it didn't work because we've never heard of it. So.
Yeah. Just, I guess, conceptually, working in a high school,
Yeah.
you can see where all of that kind of comes together. So that's pretty neat.
You mess with the bull.
You get the horns. Yeah. That comes very close to being a perfect movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Same, and I have a sentimental connection to it also because my youngest son, who's 18, like that's one of his favorite movies of all time. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was my 3. Tony, yours?
What was your 5, Steve? I'm sorry to get
My
confused.
5 was Christmas Vacay.
Okay, that was my 3. I just forgot to mention it. So
Gotcha.
So my 3 was The Great Outdoors. And that's a movie I've literally been watching consistently since it came out, which I think was 88 maybe. But yeah, and John Hughes wrote it, and man, it's one of his best buddies / muses, John Candy. It's an amazing performance from him. Dan Aykroyd playing the entitled rich asshole brother-in-law. It's so good, man. And because it's John Hughes, you have like the teenage romance angle and summer romance kind of thing, and it's just so great. Family, funny, great movie.
Yeah, it is insane.
My kids love that one.
Your kids do like it?
Yes, they love it.
Yeah.
That kind of fell into that same thing that you had, Monday, with I just had 5 slots, but that would have made it in there.
Yeah. All right, so we're up to number 2. My number 2 is Vacation, the original Vacation.
Okay.
And see, when I love that movie, and when we're in the 80s where we just kind of quoted the heck out of that thing, but everybody always talks about Cousin Eddie from Christmas Vacation. He was so understated but brilliant in the first Vacation. They didn't need to put him in a nasty robe and have him standing out there smoking a cigar, but you know what I mean? Like, he's making, real tomato ketchup Eddie, and he's making hamburger helper without hamburger. It's just like real subtle things that make him such an awesome character that fly under the radar.
Yeah, like I said, I just recently rewatched that, and one of the things I always forget about is Eddie's daughter, whose name I don't remember, but she is played by Jane Krakowski. And so weird to think of her, see her in that as a teenager, and then see her now and be like, wow, it's the same person. It's so weird.
Yeah. And then the second one was European Vacation was God, what's her name? I can't think of her name right now. She was in Californication.
Juliette Lewis.
Juliette Lewis, yeah.
No, she's in Christmas Vacation.
Was she not in European?
I thought she was in European too. No?
I don't remember. I thought the kids were different every time.
And they could have been, and they got rid of Anthony Michael Hall, which was just a damn shame.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that Molly Ringwald and Anthony Michael Hall got into a tiff with John Hughes because they refused a couple of movies that he wanted them to be in, and so they didn't talk for 20 years.
Wow.
And it led up to his death. I mean, it was 20 years prior to that. So and she said he's famous for holding grudges.
Yeah. Well, that's unfortunate.
It is, yeah, because they were so good in those movies. But all right, T-Bags number 2.
Wait, before you do that, I have a feeling mine and Tony's number 2 might be the same.
Ferris Bueller.
So we're pretty, yeah. It was the standard for cool. Ferris Bueller.
Bueller.
Yes, just to be able to just effortlessly like escape everything, you know. Like we were talking about the different ages. That was the ultimate dream, to be as cool as Ferris Bueller.
Yeah, save Ferris. And, just the crazy stuff they get up to. I mean, obviously it's way over the top and ridiculous, but it's so fun. Makes such a great movie, and the principal trying to catch him and bring him down. Everything that happens to him. And
yes.
Jennifer Grey is the sister, the frustrated older sister, and good. There's a whole lot of B and C plots in that work so well.
Yep.
I didn't even have that in my top 6.
Cameron.
Yeah, he was wearing a Red Wings jersey. What the hell's wrong with him?
Yeah, really. Like, they're around Chicago. Why is he in Red Wings?
I know, that was like, they were huge rivals back in the day because they were in the same division. They're not in the same division anymore. So, all right. So you guys both had the number 2s. Tony, did you say your number 1 already?
Yeah, Breakfast Club.
Breakfast Club, and that was yours too. So we hit the whole list. My honorable mention was Pretty in Pink.
It was a good show.
A great soundtrack too.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
All right. Well, that top 5, and so we were pretty much on point with all of theirs. They like Uncle Buck a little bit more because all 3 of them had it.
Yeah.
None of us had that. So interesting. All right. Well, now we have to move on. The music.
Okay, I guess if there's an honorable mention, I'll do. There is a movie that I believe. I think he had something to do with. I can't remember on what level. I know he didn't direct it. Maybe he wrote it or co-wrote it, but it's called Only the Lonely, and it's a John Candy movie, and it's basically he plays a Chicago cop, and his mother is Maureen O'Hara. Is that right? So they're Irish, and he starts dating an Italian girl, and that doesn't go over well with it's just like a guy trying to get out from his overbearing mother and find love, and it's a really, really good movie. But yeah, didn't make fun.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know if that's him or not, but you're probably right, especially with John Candy. That makes total sense. Yeah. All right. So moving on to the music of the matter. See, Dave Stone, his top 5 were Holiday Road, Vacation, Don't You Forget About Me, If You Leave, Blitzkrieg Bop, and Weird Science.
Okay.
Jason had If You Leave, Tenderness, Pretty in Pink, Oh Yeah.
He's disqualified immediately.
I hate that song. It's not even a song. Anyway, and then Love Missile. And Chris branch had Donkashane because he's a big fan of Wayne the Fig Newton.
Yeah.
And If You Leave, Don't You Forget About Me, Pretty in Pink, and The Mess Around.
Nice.
And then I'm not sure if these were in any kind of order, but Cortland, who met him years ago, had Don't You Forget About Me, Weird Science, Donkashane, Polka King, and Oh Yeah. Can you believe that showed up twice?
That song is so terrible and ridiculous, but it worked so perfectly for Ferris Bueller.
Exactly.
And isn't it everywhere in commercials now?
So many
Yeah.
movies like tried to use it after that. I'm like, you can't touch that. Like, Ferris
I bought the Yellow album because of Oh Yeah. Is this Jason? I can't see that from here. Oh Lord.
I actually have in my notes that to mention that Oh Yeah does not hold up. And if you don't have the car scene and it's not in the movie, forget it.
Them's fighting words. Let him know, Jason, what you think about that comment. Oh yeah. All right, boyos. We may not have complete crossover on these because there are so many, at least 66, maybe up to 72, depending.
I will say with my list, I don't stray too far. I feel like off the main path of, songs that you kind of identify with John Hughes movies. But looking at this list, and I mean, there were some surprises. So, and I found some stuff that I'm like, I'm gonna have to investigate this band a little further. So, some interesting choices that he made.
Yeah, and so one thing I thought is, you've got people like Otis Redding, you've got Marvin Gaye. I mean, it's hard to keep people like that off of your list, but for me, I just kind of picked those songs that make me feel like the 80s. So
Yes.
I just didn't give them any love on this, on my choices.
Yeah.
So
I tried to go with like a criteria of if it influenced me too into what I listen to today. So we'll see what we come up with.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. So Muncie changed his. He added Dennis the Menace.
Yeah, I didn't realize that he wrote that either until I was looking at his credits. But yeah, he wrote that, the 90s one.
Who was the kid in that? Did he go on to do anything?
No idea.
Yeah, we're just going to say it was a young Brad Pitt. Go look it up, everybody.
Say it was Walter Matthau with Mr. Wilson, right?
Yeah.
Perfect casting for that.
Mm-hmm. I need to break out some Schlitz on the ball diamond.
Because he was a grumpy old man.
Yes, he was. Okay, so let's go. We can go around again, 5 through. I did have some honorable mentions. I'm not going to talk about them, but I can just list honorable mentions. So, do you guys want to start with number 5 this time? Monday, we'll let you lead off.
Well, my number 5 was Dave Stone's number 1. It's Holiday Road from Lindsey Buckingham. And that song is, and I watched the video, like the official actual music video for that song. God awful. It's ridiculous. But I love the song. I love the song just because it's at the beginning of that movie, but it's also, they kind of hit on it throughout the whole movie. And it just makes me happy, it makes me think of that movie, and I love it.
I just like that their wagon was Metallic P, Wagon Queen Family Truckster. Metallic P. What a great color. Oh, all right. T-Bags. What's your number 5?
Okay, so I was going off the Spotify list, and it went like Jeremy said, it wasn't official. So I hope this is on the actual one. But Thieves Like Us by New Order.
It's on there.
Yeah, that's it's actually still a song that I listen to, and based on my criteria, I hear some Nine Inch Nails in there, and so especially if you listen to the song Echoplex right back to back with that, you'll hear. I think Trent might have even stolen the whole first part of that.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I think there's a lot of influence because a lot of this stuff is like post-punk and that kind of era, then hitting the keyboards and everything. So I think there's a lot of influence still today.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably safe to bet New Order was the influence on him.
Yeah, I went back and forth on my number 5. And I really wanted to go with 80s because that's such a great song, and they were fun live and everything. But I went ahead with like kind of the put you in that moment of the 80s, and I went with number 5 is If You Were Here, the Thompson Twins from 16 Candles, the old ending scene where she finally hooks up with the guy sitting on the table celebrating her birthday. That
Which
screams 80s.
That's a
what
great.
movie is that in?
16 Candles.
Okay.
I love Thompson Twins.
I do too. So, hey, so far we haven't doubled up. Mundy, hit it. What do you got for 4?
Number 4, I went with Weird Science from Oingo Boingo. Mostly, I mean, that was the first song I remember hearing from that band. And obviously, I mean, the movie's great, and it's a great theme for that. But I mean, if you really listen to that song and break it down, like there are so many layers, there's so much going on, and that is, I mean, the Oingo Boingo sound. It's just that they had a lot of musicians, and they used them all, and they used them well. And after that song, I went on to become, a pretty good Oingo Boingo fan. So.
Yeah. Was that before Dead Man's Party and all that?
I think so. I think it was right before. Actually, I think it might be on that album.
Okay, so at the same time.
Pretty sure it's on that album.
Yeah, they blew up, and then he decided he was going to start composing for movies. I don't think he's ever going to make it. Sucker.
His new stuff is awesome, though.
He's got new music out?
Oh, yeah. You haven't heard it? He did.
I've only heard his composing stuff. I haven't heard anything by him personally.
He's been putting new songs out over the last year and an album, I think. And he even did a song with Trent Reznor.
What? Really?
Yes. You didn't know that, Tony?
I might have. I always try to listen to whatever comes across, but I don't remember.
It is rough. It's not.
Well, now we got to check it out.
Oh, it's so bad.
All right.
The Weird Science was my honorable mention, just to throw that in there.
Same with me. Well, I had 4 honorable mentions, so.
You did a T-Bags.
I T-bagged it tonight. So, all right. Tony, what's your number 4?
Turning Japanese. My notes were like, it was kind of a bit of a punk feel, like you said, kind of that thing. And then it was kind of hitting right in my skater days, too. So it just, I remember we had that on cassette on our own mixtape back in the day, trying to learn tricks on the launch ramp. So I'm kind of tied to that nostalgic in that way.
Yeah,
cool.
I was listening to all again, and that came on, and I listened to the whole thing because it also reminded me of the MTV days.
Yeah.
So, very good song. My number 4 was Bring On the Dancing Horses. That was actually written for the movie Pretty in Pink.
Oh.
So that wasn't something that was just pulled in. It was written for the movie.
Was that Echo in the Bunnymen?
Yep. I think it's a great song. It's got a great groove, great feel, and I think the chorus is really catchy and kind of unique. Really cool song.
Speaking of songs written for the movies, I hope this is not on either of your lists, but the song called "She's Having a Baby" is terrible. It's so bad.
We have a write-in.
I can't even remember the guy's name. It's so bad.
I haven't heard it, and I won't go out of my way to hear it now.
Oh my gosh, it's so bad.
Pat Muncie just chimed in. He said his top song is Claire de Lune from Baby's Day Out. It's a personal choice because Baby Bing reminds me of my son. I know it's not rock or pop, but it evokes such strong emotions. I hold it close to me forever.
Very cool. I mean, that's what, a lot of this is about, what you connect with. So there you go.
And he agrees with you on that song, Mundy. All right. So we back around to number 3, Metalhead.
I had to go with the OMD, the Orchestral Maneuvers in the Dark, If You Leave, from Pretty in Pink. It's just, I don't know, man. I mean, that song is so quintessentially 80s. It is obviously of its time, but I think it still holds up as well. If that makes any sense. I mean, it's very dated, but it holds up. So
That's
kinda
my number
got,
two.
yeah, you got a weird balance there, but it's a great song. I love it.
Mhm. Yeah. So, like for me, that song's on Pretty in Pink, Bring On the Dancing Horses, and then the theme, Pretty in Pink. What an outstanding 3 songs for a movie.
Yeah,
So, you did not have that on your list, T-Bags?
I did not.
All right. What was your 3?
My 3 was "Haunted When the Minutes Drag" by Love and Rockets,
Yes.
Okay.
which I liked that song, and then later got into Bauhaus, and you know, drew the influence from. I could see the influence from there, but didn't realize it was like that's why they were created from that split. So, but that one actually still every year I make a work to this playlist, work to this 2022, work to this, whatever, and that song makes it about every year. So it's carried over from then, as long as I can remember.
Yeah, that is a good song. Was that your 3?
Yep.
Okay, so my 3 is Catch My Fall from Billy Idol off of Some Kind of Wonderful. And I love that song. It's so catchy. He's such a great singer on it, but it has awesome saxophone all the way through. It's almost like a rhythm saxophone. It's so good. And then it hits again really hard in the chorus. Just an awesome song.
I think that's a kind of an underrated Billy Idol song for sure.
I think so. Because it kind of came in between all the big hits. But I love that one a lot. And I know I have a soft spot for Billy since he was my first concert and all. And big fan in the 80s. So that's my number 3. So I don't go this round because my number 2 was already taken. Thanks a lot, jerk. So we'll go back to Metalhead. Without metal, most likely.
Speaking of being big fan of the 80s, I'm a big fan of the song 80s by Killing Joke. I mean, what do you need to say? It's Killing Joke is an amazing band. They've been around for a very long time. They have probably influenced most of the bands that you listen to in one way or another, and they're still going strong. I just saw them open for Tool a couple of years ago, so and it's just a great song. And if you don't believe it's a great song, listen to it very closely and then go dig out your Nirvana Nevermind album.
Yep.
They pretty much straight lifted that riff. So.
They really did. It is so close.
Enough that there was a lawsuit. So.
Yes. Yeah. I love that song too. That was my number 6. And it still has a lot of, their 70s punk left in that one, which is kind of more raw than the other ones, which seemed like they're more highly produced, more synth and everything. And their last, I think it was an EP last year, Paul and I really dug their new music. They're still good. And they've been around for almost 50 years.
Yep. I really started getting into them like around, I want to say it was like 92, 93. They put out an album called Pandemonium that was pretty industrial. But that is when I really started digging deep on it. Man, there's so good.
They are fantastic. Okay, so T-Bags, you're number 2.
I had Donkey Shane for number 2.
Nice.
Yeah, and that was like
nothing screams 80s like Donkey Shane.
No. But I was really looking for things that like might have sparked an interest in like. So it wasn't in any like the genres or anything I was listening to, and I think later on, like it's not necessarily like New Orleans-y, but it's got definitely a different feel than I was listening to. It made me appreciate other things, and like it was tied to Ferris Bueller, so
great scene.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, can't go wrong with the Fig. That's good. Okay, so my number 2 was If You Leave. So we already talked about that one. So this would be interesting if we all had the same number 1, but maybe we won't. Metalhead, what do you got?
I mean, if you're watching John Hughes movies, it's impossible not to pick Don't Forget About Me. Simple Mind.
That was mine.
I mean, if it's not your number 1, you're wrong.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
You need to reevaluate your choices.
They had a new album out last year, or a new song out last year, by the way. Or no, I guess it was an EP. It was average. Yeah, that song, every time it comes on, I listen. For me, that one and I'll Stop the World, Melt for You, or Melt with You are like two of my all-time favorites.
Mhm.
Always listen to them.
I just felt like it's such a good song anyway, but it was the one out of all of them that like you're gonna replay the scene in your head. It's like inseparable from the movie, but if you do separate it, it stands on its own. So
Yeah.
it was like strong across the board.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I would recommend there's a great cover of that song out there, and it is not. I mean, I love covers just because I love it when bands take a song that they love and reinterpret it, and this is definitely a reinterpretation. It's different, but it's from Life of Agony,
who's it from?
Oh, Life of Agony.
Oh, okay.
and they're a heavy band, so it's different, but it's a great cover.
I will check that out for sure. I love covers too.
Yeah, tell my daughter she won't listen to. If anybody covers Bob Dylan, they're the devil. Go ahead, comment, Sistine. I know you're out there listening.
I mean, did it better.
Have Sistine listen to Masters of War by Eddie Vedder, covering Bob Dylan.
She may have already. Oh, I don't know.
If you can't get into that version, then something's wrong with you.
We'll find out. She may comment here in a minute. I don't know if she was writing paper, but regardless. All right, that was fun. That was a good trip down memory lane. Glad that came out.
Yeah,
I don't-
it would be something I would consider buying too. Just it's from our childhoods, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The packaging's cool, but what'd you say the cost was for the deluxe edition?
$175.
Yeah, so I'll probably buy it in a couple of years.
I saw the 4 CD version is on sale on Amazon now for like $42.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's way more palatable than $175. A couple weeks ago, we were talking about Smashing Pumpkins Autumn. So it's obviously a big one as well, and you get lots of cool extras. And it's $225, I think, or something like that for the set. But if you have it signed, it's $499. That's a $275 signature. Okay, to be fair, 4 signatures, but you know.
Yeah. I guess it does add value though. So
Let's be honest. Let's be super honest. You're really paying for 3 signatures. You don't care about that 4.
And Jeff's, think it. Okay, if it was Darcy, still
Sure.
not $275 worth. Oh, there's just no way. But if you could meet them in person and have them sign, like get the meet and greet experience, that's different. But having a mail-in signature is not quite the same.
That would be like probably $5,000 plus airfare plus hotel.
Yeah, I did spend quite a bit to get that book and Chuck D's autograph, but
So
totally worth it.
Sorry, real quick. Is there anything back to the John Hughes thing? Is there anything that's like comes with like a book or any like behind the scenes talk?
There's several different editions. I don't know exactly what they are, but there's several different sized of editions and different you can get the 4 CDs or you can get vinyl or whatever. Yeah, and there is a huge deluxe one that comes with all kinds of crap.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, I
it's
think that would be interesting to me. Like I'm not going to buy it to listen to the songs, really, right? So it's to have it and have some extras with it.
It doesn't come with a ton. It doesn't look like from the picture.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. That's almost as much as what I paid for that Rush one that came with a ton of extras.
Okay.
So I guess that the vinyls are red. It's a 6 LP set. Oh, this one says $215. That's a lot. Anyway.
Yeah.
So, regardless, not getting it. But I will continue listening to those songs because I love them.
Me too.
So, all right, guys. I don't know what our challenge is next week because I told Mundy like a month ago to come up with one. He still hasn't yet, so we're waiting. Just kidding. We'll come up with something for next week. hopefully something will fall in
Sure.
our lap. We've been looking for music, and there has not been a lot of releases lately. It's been really kind of dry on that front. So,
Oh, one music mention. It was kind of a film, but you can get the music for it. But Pucifer went back and redid V is for Vagina and Conditions of My Parole. So they have V is for Versatile and Parole Violator, I think.
mhm.
And if you go on YouTube, you can catch a couple of the tracks, and it's studio sessions, so you get to see kind of them making them, which is cool. But I was really afraid when I'd hear like one of my favorite songs was being redone,
Mhm.
and they're just great versions. It's awesome. So worth checking out. In the in between as we're looking for new music.
Okay. And I know you're excited, but Dermot moved back. He was originally, I think, November 9th or something, and it got moved back to the end of the month, I believe.
Yeah. So I don't know what. Maybe that's a marketing thing too. I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm
but
looking forward to it.
Yeah, I figure you want to come back on.
There's like 3 or 4 songs off of Sonder that are already out, and I like it. So looking forward to the whole thing.
Sweet. All right, T-Bags, we're going to let you leave because I know you have not read Sandman 21 and will have no care for this or anything to add. So,
Well, I will watch the show tomorrow and see what you guys have to say about it. But it's good to be back on. See you guys soon.
great to have you. See you, T-Bags.
Bye.
Here, bye. So, I got to break it out. Very exciting.
New edition.
It's
New volume.
Yeah. We're going to start with number 21, which starts a whole new set of stories, or I guess that are linked together. I think there's 7 of them.
I think so, because this is like a prologue.
Yeah, 21 through 28 are subtitled Seasons of Mist.
Yeah.
So that's what we're up to now. What do you think about this opening?
It's pretty cool. This is kind of the first time we see Destiny, and it talks about his garden and how that works. And basically it talks about his garden and his book and how he kind of works. And I like that it says, like, when you're walking through his garden, you kind of, like, every time you go somewhere, it creates a new path, and
Mm-hmm.
you may look behind you and not see what was it? You look behind you and you see, you might see where you've been, but you look ahead and you might see nothing. It's real weird, but it's kind of cool. Kind of describes how his realm works.
Yeah, so I think what he says is, like, in front of you, because you have choices, there's a million paths, but behind you, because you've already chosen, it's just a long path.
Yes.
That just because you've made those choices,
Which
is kind of a cool way to describe what it is.
But I say, as you're looking ahead, you may also see nothing.
Yeah.
And then that's not a good thing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's darkness, I think, right? Destiny is a cool looking character.
Yeah.
It's all misty looking, and you don't really see his eyes. You see parts of his face. He's very much in shadow. And he carries a book chained to his wrist, which is kind of cool. And then they use the 3 witches again. That seems to be I guess in every storytelling mode, they've got this kind of character. And what are they? The gray ones, the gray witches.
They call them, I think it's just the gray ones in this one, the gray ladies. But it's basically like, if you know, like, Greek mythology, it's the fates, the 3 fates, that same idea.
The Stygian witches.
Yes.
So, but yeah, so this is kind of interesting because this meeting with them leads him to call everyone, all of the Endless, to a meeting together for no real purpose. I mean, there is a purpose, but he's not very clear about it. And he doesn't use sigils. He uses actual photos or paintings of his siblings.
Yeah. I mean, that's still, like, kind of would count as a sigil, I guess. but
Yeah.
it's not an object that you hold in your hand to call them. So, and it's kind of cool the way they do it. It's like they kind of step out of the painting when he calls them.
Mhm. And it's
then-
interesting that he demands that they be sort of dressed up or more proper, because immediately he makes Death put on a different outfit.
Yeah. She goes from her little like jeans and tank top to a kind of, I don't know, like a goth prom dress or something.
It's like Victorian or something.
Almost. It almost looks like a tutu type skirt though.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. And then when Dream comes, I'm not sure. He almost looks like a pirate, or he's a ship captain or
I was
something.
gonna say, I would say like more British Navy. He
Yeah.
looks a little better than a pirate, but he's
Well,
got
that's true.
the tri-corner hat and all that stuff.
So yeah, they all come to join. Those pages, which I thought were interesting, were the ones where they have, and I don't love these, honestly. I wish the pages where it has the sections where they talk about each one,
Yeah.
I wish it was almost separate, because it kind of takes you out of the story. At least it did for me. It was almost like reading a Wikipedia dump in the middle of a story.
It is an interesting choice, and I understand what you're saying. I think they do it just because this is kind of the first time we're meeting several of these characters. So I think that's kind of why they did it, but I totally get where you're coming from. It's, you're reading a comic book and then you switch to these pages, and it's like, I mean, it's kind of weird, and I'll hold it up to see if I can, but it kind of like breaks down each character into, kind of tells their story and what they're about, and then and then at the end and then there's Death.
Yeah.
That's all it says. Which again, it's kind of interesting because like in Dreams section, it talks about Death more than hers does. Like hers literally says, "And there is Death," and that's it. But his really goes on and on about their relationship.
Yeah, and he heard long ago in a dream that one day every century Death takes on mortal flesh, better to comprehend the lives. So yeah, we learned about her through his.
Yeah.
Which
later became its own series. So
yeah, and I don't know. I guess I like learning about the characters through their actions and their conversations. And the conversations are pretty good here, where it really does put them on display as far as what they're all about. So,
yeah.
But I don't know. I guess I would have liked that maybe as an appendix or something rather than in the middle.
And they're kind of, like when they all finally get there and they sit down at the table, they're like, "Why are we here?" And, let's get this show on the road. And Destiny has a weird, he just basically says that I called you here because I was supposed to, and that's it. I don't really have anything to say. You're just supposed to be here. And you guys need to figure out what's going on.
Yeah. Can we go? No. I have told you all I will tell you. I've brought you to this place. The rest is up to the 5 of you.
Yeah.
But their personalities bring about, I guess, what has to happen eventually. So, and that was
also, we should point out too, there are 7 endless, and there are only 6 here because we find out they talk a little bit more. I think he's been mentioned very briefly, but they talk more about their brother who basically gave up his position.
Yeah.
They still don't name him, but they kind of talk about him. And that even to the point where I think it was Despair was like, "Oh, maybe he's returned and that's why we're all meeting." And no, that's the case.
Yeah, that is interesting that they keep sort of hinting at him. And another thing I like here, the cool touches with knowing who is speaking by the font they use or the handwriting that they use, and their word balloons are all a little bit different, which is cool.
Yep. This is pretty much our first glimpse of Delirium in this series. So, and that, like the the proper dress thing is weird because he only holds really 3 of them to that. And I mean, Despair, every time you see her, she's naked.
Yeah.
So that never changes, I don't think. But Delirium is basically, she looks like she's wearing like a bodysuit and fishnet.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's kind of weird, but I don't know. I don't know why they didn't dress her up, but whatever. Works for the character, but it kind of breaks the rules they set.
Yeah, I guess it only matters with certain ones. So Delirium used to be Delight, right?
Yes.
Is that what it said? Yeah.
She says Delight was a long time ago.
Yeah, and things don't change much because Desire's poking, prodding at Dream.
Oh,
Like-
such a jerk. So I mean, totally just taunting. I would say
Mhm.
taunting.
Yeah.
I mean, not even kind of poking. She is straight up taunting him. She starts talking about all the terrible things he's done to his lovers and just how he's treated them over the years, and just, I mean, really getting under his skin.
Yeah. Tell me, how's your life? Killed any girlfriends recently, or sentenced any one of them to hell? But that's really what brings up the whole crux of the issue.
Yeah.
Because you think he's going to get consoled by Death, and Death is like, no, you're an asshole. Like,
She was like, yeah, she said Desire is right. Like,
mhm.
Desire's not wrong. And he's like, what?
Yeah, even you turn on me.
Yeah. And she kind of convinces him that, you know, he kind of changes his mind, makes him kind of see that he might not have acted well there.
Yeah,
And
because
then
he assumes that because he says I could have made her a goddess, that everybody would just instantly want to be a goddess, and she's like, well, maybe she didn't want to be a goddess.
Right.
You know.
Yeah, and she really is kind of, for some reason, I mean, Desire mentions several of his ex-lovers, and Death really kind of focuses in on Nada. I don't know if maybe she was the most recent, but
Well,
Okay.
and Nada is, yeah, well, we don't know, I guess, all the instances, but in that one, we know how he felt about her.
Yeah.
And that she jilted him, and so that was like, I guess for him, like the ultimate, I suppose. And then and I think too, when Death speaks to him, he trusts and loves Death, that it spoke to him a little bit. And when he says, is this truly how you feel? Truly? You know, like, she's the only one that can get through to him that he has behaved like an a-hole.
Yeah. And she kind of convinces him, and he says, very well then, my course is clear. So
Which
he decides to venture on down to hell, even though he's still rebuilding his realm. He's going to go back to hell and try to figure out how to save her or change her situation or something.
Yeah, and he says, either I shall bring Nada out of hell, or I shall see you again soon, my sister, obviously being dead. So this really sets up where we're going forward, and another trip to hell, which was awesome the first time, so I can't wait to see. I have not read that, so this is going to be exciting for me.
Yeah. And I like, he basically tells Death, the Dream tells Death to, you know, tell the rest of the siblings that what he had to do, he had to go, and what he was doing. And he's like, he had to take off. And so she wants to sit and talk and visit with them. And Destiny says, there is no need. He is returning to hell. It has begun.
Yeah. It's almost like he brought them there just to look at their
that's it.
paths and pick one, like he does, you know.
Yeah.
And so that is, and he didn't ultimately know that, did he? Like, he brought him there. He knew he was supposed to, but he didn't know why, apparently, until that moment.
Yeah.
So very cool. It was fun just to see the interplay between the Endless. Get teased a little bit more about the other one, because I don't know who the other one is. So.
Oh, really?
Hmm.
Yeah.
No, off the top of my head.
I do.
I've only read part of this, so this is really like, I think I'm to the point now where I haven't read any more.
Okay.
So this is exciting for me because this is all
Cool.
blank canvas.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, it kind of stinks for you.
Not really. I mean, I haven't gone back and read through any of this in quite some time. So I've
Cool.
read, like, as newer stuff has come out, I've read that, but I haven't gone back and read the original series twice.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's cool.
All right. Well, that means next week is episode issue 22, and it looks gnarly. Just looking at the first page or two.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, we're
Yeah.
going to hell. So
Yeah, so it is really gnarly. So very cool. Seasons of Mist, Chapter 1 is where we start next. So, all right. So then this number 22 next week. And then you're going to have a great challenge for us, right?
I'm gonna try.
Attaboy. That's what I like to hear. So, Mr. Mundy, can you tell us where people could find you if they want to look you up?
On Instagram, Metalhead Mundy, just like it says under me, like for the whole episode.
It's true. And JPP hasn't been here for a while, but you can still find him at the Phoenix Supernova and over at justplainpaul.com. He's still making music and doing stuff and building guitars. So
Yep.
He's got cool stuff to show you if you want to check that out. You can find me at Foggy's Pal on Instagram and Twitter. And I joined Tribal just to see what it was like. It's like a dead space. I don't know. I don't get it. And then I looked at, everybody was talking about Mastodon. It's
Heard
confusing
of that one too, yeah.
because you got to choose a server to go into, and I don't know. Very strange. So I'll wait until other people get in and figure it out, and then they can tell me about it. All right. So until next week, which is 132, we'll see you. You can find Wanderings and Wool Gathering on YouTube, Apple Music, Spotify, Stitcher, Castbox, and SoundCloud. And you can find, if you want to watch any of our previous episodes, they're all up on YouTube if you actually want to watch the video as well, not just live. And the rest of our stuff should be up probably here in another hour on podcast. So hopefully you'll join us there. Till next week, we're going to go work this week because that's what we do. But we'll prepare for you and see you next week. Bye now.
All right.
All right.
I don't know what the hell